extremely loud explosions.
The aftermath of the Sydney cafe hostage situation has refocused attention on the lone wolf terrorist phenomenon. As ISIS has grown in the Middle East, its members have called for would-be jihadis in countries like Canada, France, Britain, Australia, and the United States to commit violent acts in their homelands. It's not clear if the Sydney attacker, Manharan Monis, took hostages because of an ISIS call for jihad, but his demands during the standoff included making hostages hold up Islamic messages in the cafe window. That fits with what analysts would call a lone wolf actor, one who commits violence to achieve political goals or cultural shifts. And it's that political motivation that distinguishes a lone wolf from a traditional violent criminal. Adam Lanza killed more people during his shooting rampage at Sandy Hook Elementary School than the number of people killed during Manharan Monis' standoff in Sydney. But Lanza's crime wasn't tied to a political ideology. Yet it may not be an ideology alone. If a potential lone wolf needs only to be spurred by a radical ideology, why haven't there been more attacks? Because however fervent one's beliefs, there is still a significant gap between belief and action, say analysts. According to recent Pew polls, approximately 8% of adult US Muslims found suicide attacks justifiable in some instances. But for every 1 million US Muslims, there have not been 80,000 lone wolf suicide bombings in the United States. Still, in general, since 2008 the United States has seen a spike in both Islamist and ultra-far-right lone wolf actors. The number is still minuscule, barely into the double digits, but scholars are working to create a psychological profile of lone wolf terrorists. To better understand lone wolf terrorists, researchers at Bryn Mawr College examined the psychology of assassins and school shooters, both typically loners, and compiled a list of shared characteristics. When compared to other studies done on lone wolf terrorists, the researchers found their 4-point personality profile reinforced. The 4 significant characteristics include grievance, the feeling of having been persecuted, bullied, threatened, or injured. Depression, this includes despair or suicidal ideation. Unfreezing, this refers to a crisis where there is experienced or perceived major loss, loss of relationship, or failure and loss of status. Loss of connection or status can leave an individual with little to lose, freeing them for radical action. And experience with weapons. In studying both assassins and school shooters, over half showed familiarity with weapons outside of the military. These profiles aren't enough to stop lone wolves from acting. It's still hard to find a needle in a haystack, but the hope is that an increase in understanding will lead to a decrease in these kinds of attacks.
And potentially resolve this situation. We can see another